Here's the Theo MA1 laser welder. This is a basic little training video on how to set it up just in a simple process so you can get started pretty quickly. What I'm doing here is I'm setting up the wire feeder. Thought it'd be a simple way to start off. And this is set up just like any other wire feeder like you would with MIG, except for one small thing. Those little screws that I'm putting in right now, the thing that's different about them is that instead of your usual righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, these are actually inverted. The threads are going the other way around, so it's righty-loosey, lefty-tighty. And what I usually do, just to make sure that I don't cross-thread them, is I will turn them opposite to the thread. So I'm not trying to thread them. I'm going the other way, and I'm just slowly turning it till I hear it click when the thread, falls in and lines up, and then I begin to thread it in just so I can avoid any cross-threading or any breaking of the threads. Because the last thing you want to do is have the wrong rollers stuck inside your wire feeder. So I get them in, start turning them, and then after that I'll begin to set up the rest of the system. One thing you're going to want to make sure to do that I have made the mistake of doing in the past is not plugging in the cable for the wire to go through. Just plug it in right there, quick and easy. And then once you've got that set up, you got the rollers in, all you do is you just feed the wire through just like you would with MIG. Clip off the bent end, stick it into the little spring guide, and then once you get in, you just want to clamp down the sides. Do make sure, like as you're feeding it in right here, that you're not slipping off the roller. Just make sure it's all tight, it's all where it's supposed to be, and it's running smoothly. There you go. Now that you have the wire feeder, set up and ready to go, you're going to want to turn the little key here. That unlocks the machine. Then go to the back. You see a little red switch. Just flip that. Of course, make sure that you have it plugged into the wall. There you go. It's turning on now. It'll have a little boot up sequence for a little while. Once that finishes, you'll get a pop-up. Just press OK. You'll be ready to go. Once the pop-up, appears, you just press OK, and then you're going to want to turn the main laser on. It's in the bottom right there. Little warning, hit OK. There you go. Now you got to make sure your gas is connected. There's a quick connect on the machine and then on the little clear tube right there. Now just turn the gas on. I like to make sure that the gas is between 35 and 40 psi. Alright, there we go. What I just hit was a gas button. It basically just turns the gas on. And as you can see in the regulator, the gas is flowing. Just checking to make sure it's where I want it. Alright. There we go. Okay. Gas off. Next thing, as you can see under the emergency stop, there's a little plug leading to this wire thing connecting like a ground to the table. This is your safety inner loop. Looks like a ground, kind of functions like a ground, but it is a safety inner loop. And what it does is, as you're welding on the table here, you have your, wire touching the table, and it's creating a circuit between the ground, your gun, and the material you're going to have there. And it's to prevent any stray lasers from being shot somewhere else. Alright, one of the other cables we need to check, just to make sure, is this wire feed cable here, which out of the wire feeder, I have it going over the back, down the bottom, and it plugs into a little thing right there, labeled feeder. Easy enough. It's just to make sure that the machine and the feeder are getting along and are connected and reading each other. And now here we have all the cables, which in the bottom left, as I said just a moment ago, you have the feeder. That just connects the machine and the feeder together so they can work. Then you have the blue cable in the top right. That's your gas. The one below that in the bottom right, that is your power, which that won't come out. The other two have quick connects. This one is not. This is just straight into the system and you can't remove it. And then this middle one here is for a lockout room. So you can actually get all those loose wires up at the top, wire it into a door so that if, If anyone opens the door while you're welding inside, it'll actually shut the machine down just to prevent any, stray lasers from hitting them in the face. Wouldn't be good, don't want that to happen. One thing with this cable is, even though it's not plugged into anything, you will have to have it plugged into the back of the machine all the time. Well, all the time that you're using it. So the machine actually, like the system, will read that cable is in there, and it's like, oh, okay, we have it, we're good, we're ready to go. And the reason it needs that is because those little gray boxes that are connecting those wires together, those are the wires for the lockout. And what they're doing is bypassing it. So that the machine's basically saying, all right, we're good to go, we're ready. Like if you were to actually set up the lockout room, you would have to undo those little boxes and wire the rest of the wires into the system. Not the welding system, but the door system, so that it can actually have that connection. And then when the door breaks the connection, when someone opens it, it's like, okay, shut off, something's happening, gotta be careful. Another thing to notice is on the upper left, there's a plug with nothing in it. Don't worry about that. That has no use. So you can just leave it unplugged. There shouldn't be any wires that you'll have to worry about for it. Just leave it as is, and you'll be good to go. All right, concerning safety, you have a laser-rated pair of safety glasses and hood. Now, you cannot use a normal welding hood because the protective lens isn't laser-rated. Your glasses and Theo provided hood, those are laser-rated. They have a special film and a special lens to protect from the laser light. And what you need to do is you need to make sure whoever is welding is wearing both the glasses and the hood at all times when welding. In addition, make sure not to have other people around the laser without the safety glasses, otherwise they risk actually, catching a stray reflection and burning their eyes, and you don't want that. That would not something you want. So make sure that anyone around the laser welder while in use is wearing safety glasses, and the welder is wearing safety glasses and a hood. Remember, do not use a normal welding hood because there's no laser rating for that kind of glass. It's just shades. Like you have shade 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? This doesn't have a shade. It is just laser rated protective window. You don't want anything else besides that. The glasses here are green, and so is the hood, but other glasses can actually have different lenses. Some are yellow, some are clear, some are purple. As long as the safety rating is the same, it doesn't matter how it looks. So that also means that even though these glasses here, which are green and look like a shade 5, do not function as a shade 5. So it's good to keep in mind and make sure you keep them separate from your usual shade 5 glasses or hood, just so you don't get them mixed up and so you don't accidentally either arc flash yourself with a laser safety hood, or you don't burn your eyes out with a normal welding hood using the laser welder. So just don't get them mixed up. Make sure you're checking. They do have information on the actual lenses, and it'll look like random little bits of numbers, but these are actually the ratings, the safety ratings for the laser, and what kind of laser light that they can protect against. So one thing to look out for, just make sure that you're not mixing those up. You don't want to accidentally have an accident because you weren't paying attention to what you're wearing or anything like that. So just laser safety for the laser welder, welding safety like hoods and normal safety glasses for welding. Don't mix and match those. They can't do that. Each are designed to protect specifically against one or the other. Traditional welding safety stuff like hoods and safety glasses is for arc, and then you have laser safety, which is for laser. There is no cross between the two. You can't substitute one for the other. It is laser safety for lasers, welding safety for welding. No exceptions. Alright, we got the pop-up again once you turn the machine on. You just agree to that. It's just giving you little tips and tricks on how to be safe. Once you say okay, you're presented with this screen here, which is your basic mode. This screen, it has your type of material, the thickness of material, and what kind of joint you're welding. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to select the type of material that you're welding with, the thickness of the material that you're welding, and then the joint that you're welding. And so when you've got that done, you just turn the laser on. There you go, it says laser will be launching soon. You just say, all right, good. And once you hit OK, what you're going to do, or what the machine is going to do, is through the options you selected in basic mode, it is then going to change these settings here. And this is expert mode. And what these settings here are, it's wobble width, laser power, and wobble frequency. And these three settings here actually adjust more specifically the inner workings of the gun. Here's your wobble width, and what that does is it changes how much spread that laser has, which is your weave. So you won't be doing any weaving. And then you have your laser power, which is just how strong that laser is. So right now we have 65%. This is the MA165, which is a 1/4 inch penetration. So 100% laser power is full penetration, 65% would be 65% of total penetration. That's just how you can think about it based on your material. So thinner material, lower laser power. And then wobble frequency, you can leave that at 60 hertz. Another thing you can do is go to the process parameters and then go to the customize. These are just empty slots. So once you get comfortable with the machine and you know what settings you want, you can actually go in and you can change these little empty slots to be specific to what you want and basically save them. It's like a pre-save. It's a preset of your welding settings. This screen here is your wire feed setting, which it has continuous weld and pulse. That's just how you change the speed and other general settings to how you want to weld, just like you would with MIG, with a few additional, more fine-tuning available. Alright, you have 4 buttons on the bottom here. You have wire feed, laser, and laser enable. You're going to want to make sure that wire feed is on, laser is on, and then laser enable. You don't need gas manual on, that'll just turn the gas on even when you're not welding. So don't worry about that unless you're checking the PSI. Here are the parts to the gun. You have 4 main components. You have your wire feed fixture on the bottom, that's that silver angled thing that attaches to the barrel. You have your B-tip, which has a little wire guide for certain size wire. You have your wire feed nozzle, which the one we have here is a 1.6 millimeters, it's that gold piece. And then we have the focus barrel, which is that long shaft right there. So, as you can see, there's little measurements on the side, which we will get into that once we actually set the gun up. You have the wire feed fixture there. What that does on this end, you screw that little gold piece in and you connect the wire feed wire into the back, and you'll have your wire going through it, and that'll actually meet up with the laser, which will be coming out of this tip here. This tip is the B tip, which is for larger size wire, like the one we're going to be using, which is 1.6 millimeters, or about 1/16. This box here, which you will get when you get the welder, has all little pieces in it, like that little Allen wrench. In addition, you will also be getting that wrench right there, which will be used to tighten the barrel down to the gun, right there. And that box also contains more wire feed nozzles and tips. Alright, so here is the gun setup, which we will start with tightening down the tip into the end of the barrel, just like that. And as you can see, let me just take this out right quick. Alright, that barrel is going to slide down right in there. Alright, now make sure that you adjust it so that the guide on the tip is on the bottom, so you don't want your wire going everywhere. You want it to be safe and secure. Alright, now that it's in there, tighten it down with the little wrench that I showed before. And I'm not going to worry about the adjustments yet. I'm going to make sure I get everything else set up, so I'm just kind of keeping it loose. Alright, that goes in just like that. All the tips, even though they're different sizes, setup is exactly the same. Alright, now you just slide that piece there. Leave it a little forward, because you're going to have to fine-tune it in a minute once you get the wire going through. Then you just connect it like so, right there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lightly tighten it down just so it won't move on me too much. Just like that. Remember not to over tighten it because you don't want to strip that little nut there. Let me just move this forward a little. Alright, now that we're ready to get the wire actually going through, coming out the gun, just going to turn the wire feed on there. And as you can see, there's two buttons. What those do is those actually control the roller so you can feed it out. If you hold just for about 4 to 5 seconds, what it'll actually do is it'll actually keep feeding the wire without you having to hold the button down. And the other button, what it does is it just pulls the wire back in. Okay, there's the wire coming out. Now we're just going to slide the wire feed fixture back until the wire is fitted loosely into the guide of the tip. Just like that. Alright, then you're going to want to tighten it down. Make sure that it's all nice and happy just the way it is, so you won't have any problems like wire getting stuck or catching on anything. Alright, just like that. Beautiful. Okay, this part is important. This is your work angle. What you're going to do, you're going to have the gun set up in such a way that the handle is parallel with where your weld will be. Make sure not to have it, tilted to the side. You do not want it straight up. You don't want that laser bouncing back in. You just want the handle parallel. You want it all straight and in line with where your weld will be. Just hold it like that, and then the wire as it's coming out will actually push you back. So, as you're welding, here's a poor little drawing, but as you're welding, right, your handle is parallel. There you are moving back. What's going to happen is as the wire is coming out, it'll push you back and the laser will weld over it and create the weave and the weld and all of that. So all you're going to be doing is holding it in this position with a little bit of pressure, maintaining constant contact between the metal and the wire so that you can have that full circuit with the inner loop, as I said before. Alright, now that we have everything set up and the gun ready to go, we're going to be using aluminum wire. So we're going to go to Expert Mode, Details, Wire Feed Settings, and we're just going to put it on Pulse. We use Pulse for aluminum. It helps reduce the heat so that the wire doesn't burn and the metal doesn't get too hot, so we can keep a good, clean, consistent weld. I'm going to check, make sure the settings are correct. Since we're going to be doing a butt joint, we have a high wobble width, moderately hot laser power, keep the frequency the same. Alright, and then one thing I want to check on back in the wire feed settings is this refeed length option right here, which the system comes preset to 14, but we have found that 11 is the best. And what that refeed is, it's just the wire coming back out of the nozzle once you finish welding. So what it does is it pulls back when you let off the trigger so that the wire doesn't get stuck, and then it pushes it back out. Now we have basic safety equipment, gloves, helmet, glasses, gun here is set up. We're ready to go. All we need to do is get the material, which we have over on the table. We have the gun, we have the gas, the safety inner loop, everything's plugged in on the back. just like we talked about before. Everything is good to go. It's ready. It is set up. There's that safety inner loop. Just have it clipped to the table. Everything is set up and ready to go. Now let's just right quick check. Here's basic mode. Setting it to aluminum. Metal is high, so we go with the max thickness. Check the settings, all good. Wire feed is on. There it is, set up as we did before. Rollers are good to go, everything is in place as it should be. One final thing to check is this thing here. This is the protective window. So just it protects the interior of the gun from any debris, and we have a little spot right there. So that's going to make the laser be ineffective and unusable. So what we do is we just pop this little ring out. You can see the lens. Take it out. Just be careful. That little blue gasket in there can fall out, so just be careful, be gentle with it. We're going to get this laser lens right here. It is a protective window. You're just going to take it out, and you have to be careful not to touch it because fingerprints can actually cause problems with the laser. Interior reflections back into the gun starting at the protective window can be really bad, so just make sure that you don't touch it. Be careful. Best way to avoid any form of debris or dirt in the lens itself is to be in a relatively clean environment, like not on a welding table. I would do it away from the welding table. Put some nitrile gloves on, and you can just pop it in there. Get the lens. It does have a groove fit for protective lens, so just make sure you're not putting it in backwards. Just make sure that white part is out front. Get the gun and slide it back in there, just like that. Tighten it down. You don't have to crank it tight. Just hand tight is good. There you go. Your gun is ready, set up, have everything else all good to go. Now we get to the welding. Once you are about to weld, you will need to fuse the two pieces together. You have a little button inside the gun right there, and what that does is it turns the wire feed off, so you can actually just tack without the wire coming out of the gun. There's a little fuse. There is the next fuse, and what that is, it's just, since it's not adding any filler wire, you have no big tack that gets in the way, so you can actually weld right over it, and it allows you to create a more clean and consistent weld. Alright, just clamping that down. Alright, now that I am actually going to start welding, flip the wire feed back on the gun so that I'll get wire coming out. Alright. Now we got to remember to maintain that gun angle and just let the wire push us back right here. I'm not actually pulling or pushing, I'm just letting the gun do its thing on its own. There we go. Easy weld, right there. Once you get the weld, you probably will notice that you have a little bit of soot on the weld. Very easy, just get a wire brush and just clean it off. Look at that. There you go.